it also helps the child shift their point of view from their own place to the entire world. If you see the child in the CASA or the primary, in the primary years, the child is more focused on my locality, my place. Child is the focal point. I am the focal point. Everything is related to me. This is how the primary child is. Whereas the elementary child has to now expand their vision into the whole world. So this phenomena helps them to understand, shift their point of view from what's happening around me to the entire world. When it is sunrise here, what's happening in some other place? What is sunset? No, in America, it would be sunset. Like our friends in Vietnam have sunrise before us, no? So we know how, when we are all together, we know when it is 6 o'clock and we are ending our session, they might be 7:30, I mean, it must be 7:30 there. They might be later into the day and they might be feeling tired. All this we have to understand. It gives us that perspective.
Ma'am, if we have have our relatives over there, we can relate more to those countries.
Yeah.
Think more about it.
Yeah, even more.
They must be doing this. They must be doing that.
This study cannot be underestimated because what we see outside is counterintuitive. We see the sun's apparent movement. We see that sun is moving from the east to west. We don't see the earth actually moving. So what we see is not true. And this is something that we have to help children understand. It is counterintuitive and it contradicts your the evidence of the senses. What the senses take in is totally not right. You're actually seeing the sun move, but it is not true. One of the chapters that we deal with in geometry is directly giving you this idea straight away. It's called equivalence. So we've not seen similarity, congruence, and equivalence yet. No, we have not seen that. No, there's another chapter, one whole huge chapter called similarity, congruence, and equivalence, where equivalence is paid a lot of importance, and we'll be studying it in depth. And you'll see how what you see is so what can I say? It negates your senses of what you understand, which is so directly related to this chapter where you're seeing the sun's movement, but it is not moving. It's actually the earth that is moving. So you can connect these two. You can make a note of it right now because we'll be looking at it later. And this chapter will, and then you can see that there is a connection to geography with geometry.
Geography and geometry. Okay.
Here our approach will be looking at individual concepts, but then all of it is related. So then we integrate that work through work charts. You've seen some of these charts, right? The other day we were discussing the charts. Most of the charts are anthropomorphic charts, which means that it aids in your imagination because you're giving a human figure to the elements of nature. So they're called anthropomorphic charts. Anthropomorphic charts. How does a child relate to all these concepts? Because we are giving a human figure. Child is able to relate to the emotions. Yeah, I also do this. So I can connect to this work. When the roots are hammering you see those human figures hammering the root. And that is a function of the root, that it anchors the whole plant to the soil. I'm able to connect to it because I also work in that manner. I'm a worker and I work incessantly. You can see children working at so many different things in the elementary, working together for a cause, for a purpose. So they're able to relate to those anthropomorphic charts. You may wonder, why have you given such human figures to know these elements of nature? What does it do? And those figures are also not very, precisely very beautiful figures. They are just a very generic picture, saying that these are like humans. Even in leaf as a food factory, you see workers working, yeah, same. There are many charts like that. In botany, we see most of these. And in geography also, you see such charts. These charts are called anthropomorphic charts. The approach is anthropomorphic because we are connecting to human emotions. And so the child will be able to relate to it better. That's the purpose. That's the idea. You can create your own charts.
Touches them more than words.
Touches us more than words. Very well put. Like those, there are other charts which are factual, like your maps, where we are looking at rivers of the world, vegetation, or
Currents, winds.
What, Asha?
Currents, winds.
Currents,
winds.
ocean currents, winds. Such charts are also there, which give you facts. Those are factual charts. So we have anthropomorphic charts, factual charts, and then there are work charts on which the child can work to bring his or her understanding to a consolidation. Whatever I've seen individually in many charts, now I can bring it all together and work on this chart. So there are work charts. There are these many different kinds of charts. I don't know if I'm leaving out something. These are the things. And together, all of these are called impressionistic charts. Impressionistic charts. So these are not charts that usually are used by teachers to teach. Look here, I'm going to teach you the parts of the body, or this is the digestive system. We don't use these charts to teach. We use these charts to leave an impression in the child's mind. We say so many things in our stories, in our presentations. We keep saying so many. But what will hold, all these things that you've said? These charts, they are like hooks. They will hold your words there. And the child will be able to recollect all that you've said. Whenever they see a chart, oh, auntie spoke about this like that. So I remember. So these are like hooks also. And they leave an impression. What is an impression? Impression then? Forever. Huh? What is the meaning of it? Impression. Leaving an impression.
That stays forever and never gets erased.
We don't know if it stays forever. I don't know that. Anna, what happens when we
Ma'am,
Impact, ma'am.
it is an impact.
Impact.
Then memory.
Impact.
What is there in the? Give me your hand. Anu, give me your hand. This is impression. Compression. You're able to associate something with this specific value.
Makes to feel, ma'am.
Feel.
Feel.
The feel that it gives.
Okay. Able to associate with that specific experience. There's an experience. There's an experience.
Here it is visual.
That memory is the
Visual. On the rework chart, they are working with hands.
yeah, visual and intellectual also. Something that you see or reasoning out in your mind, both ways. So it leaves an impression. Impression is when you put some pressure on something, there is a mark is left. And it's an experience. These charts also leave an impression. It's an experience. So this is how you have to understand these charts. Because you are going to own them and people will be asking you, what are these charts? They're looking so funny. I've never seen such charts. You will not see such charts outside, this world. Then you have to know why we use these charts, what's the purpose, and how it affects the child's learning. How is it related to this? All these phenomena that we are going to study negates our senses. I don't see the sun stay put in a place and I don't see the earth rotating. We don't see that. But we say that the sun is stable and the earth is what is rotating. And because of it, we see day and night. So the apparent movement is something else, but what we see is something else. Similarly, in equivalence chapter, you'll see, what you see in the material will be something which will negate your understanding of that particular concept. When we come to that, I won't spoil the fun for you. When we come to that, we'll understand. So that was a note on charts. All these notes that you're making will help you in your exam, okay? Because there can be short questions on this. What are these charts for? What are the different kinds of charts? How does it affect the child's learning? Or is there another chapter which connects in a very similar manner? So pay attention to these points, make note of it. You'll be able to write with your understanding. Factual charts, anthropomorphic charts. Factual charts. Have you seen which one?
Wildlife reserve, yeah.
But those are not impressionistic charts. That's part of the material. In case we use it,
Exist in real.
yes, gives us facts.
Facts and real information.
The layers of the Earth's chart. If you see, there are layers. There is atmosphere, lithosphere, hydrosphere, biosphere. That is also giving you some facts about it. Right? But it is an impressionistic chart because it is not giving you the exact measurement. It's not telling you. It's approximately, most of it is covered, filled with biosphere. Then a part of it is lithosphere, then a part of it is hydrosphere, and then the other. So it's giving you a very generalistic view. It's not giving you facts, but it leaves an impression. Oh, the biosphere, it is occupying all the space. The moment you look at that, what hits your eye is the red color. All of it is biosphere. So that is also impressionistic. So you can't call it factual. Factual, we've not seen it. We've not seen it.
Ma'am? Ma'am, even the solar system chart is not factual.
Solar system can be called factual, yeah. Because
Yeah.
you're giving them
The-
distance.
Yeah, ma'am, the distance we have to write, no, once we come. Yeah.
Right, Tanvi. Very attentive, yeah. Tanvi is, I can see you change. No, on a daily basis.
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Evolving. Anu is saying Tanvi is evolving. She's growing up.
Ma'am, work charts is where children work together, you said, no? Ma'am? That one?
They will work on it. They will work on the chart to consolidate their understanding that they've got from various other charts. There are some charts like that also. We have not seen work charts as well, no?
We can't see that.
There are some work charts, multiplication charts. There are memorization charts and then there are multiplication in arithmetic.
Half
No?
chart.
Those are work charts. No? Those are work charts. So this is one of the key chapters in geography. Sun and Earth is one of the key chapters in geography. You have these great lessons and you have key lessons. This is one of the key lessons, key chapters. What are key chapters? Key lessons. Great lessons are the pillars of this curriculum. There are 5 pillars, no? 5 great stories. From those emerge few major chapters which have sub-chapters. This is one of the major chapters and so we'll call this a key chapter or a key lesson. And all these key chapters can be picked up parallelly. With one group of children, I can start off nature of elements, work on nature of elements. With another group of children, I can start off with sun and the earth chapter. With another group of children, I can start the work of water, the work of air. Like this, with different sets of children, I can start work parallelly. So these key lessons are like that. Because like I told you, if you can imagine a wheel and the spokes coming out of those, that wheel, the center is the God with no hands story. And from there radiates all these key lessons. And these key lessons are individual. They are independent of each other, though they are all connected together. That is the beauty of these key lessons. They can be taken individually with different groups of children. So this chapter emerges from a very key sentence in the God with no hands story where we say that rock, water, air, God's laws are obeyed. The world spins round and round itself and round the sun. You remember that line? Almost towards the end of that story, we leave them with saying that rock, water, air, solids, liquids, gases, all of these obey God's laws. The world spins round and round itself and round the sun. This one. I need the globe. Keep the globe here with the light. The light. Correct.
Ma'am,
Just switch it on later. Yes.
ma'am, are we doing that which you showed us when
No,
we
no.
came?
No, not that, but just a glimpse of that. But the whole setup is not being shown just now. This is only just the beginning story.
Okay, ma'am.
Beginning of the story. இது அது இருக்கட்டும் அந்த ஒரு இது இல்லப்பா அந்த ஒரு நட் சுத்தும்ல இது இல்ல ஒரு ஸ்ட்ரிங் வச்சு அது இங்க இல்லையா பின்னால இருக்கா ஹேமா பின்னால இருக்கா if it's not here then it should be in the kitchen in a bucket because we rotated the bucket also inside that. I have fun it. Who will do this? யாரா rotate பண்ணுவீங்களா பயமா இருக்கா நான் rotate பண்ண பயமா இருக்கேன்னா யார் தலையில இடிக்கணும் அதுதான் பயந்துட்டேன் சரி பார்த்துக்கலாம் இதா நம்ம பார்த்துக்கலாம் இதுதான் this will be the planets or anything that okay, so let's start the presentation. The rotation of the earth and its consequences. The first presentation, the rotation of the earth and its consequences. Purpose? To introduce the children to the two basic movements of the earth, rotation and revolution. What is rotation? When the earth spins on its axis. When the earth spins on its axis, it's called rotation. That movement is called rotation. What's revolution? Surya?
It moves around the sun.
In a fixed orbit.
It takes around the sun and it takes 365 and 1/4 of a day. These two concepts are presented to the intellect and imagination of the child in a story form. These two concepts are presented to the intellect and imagination of the child in a story form using charts and demonstrations. To bring to the child's awareness, somebody's phone. To bring to the child's awareness the fact that rotation of the earth is responsible for the alternation of day and night, See, to bring to the awareness of the child the fact that this is standard. You don't have to pay, a lot of attention on it. But what is exactly the purpose? The rotation of the earth is responsible for the alternation of day and night. To introduce or clarify the language, of day, night, sunrise, sunset.
And please repeat to introduce the clarified. Sorry.
To introduce language or introduce the terms sunrise, sunset, day, night, dawn, dusk, noon, midday, midnight, all these terms. AM, PM also. AM, PM. And to help the children become aware that what we see is only the apparent movement. To bring to the child's awareness that what we see is only the apparent movement, and that the actual movement is only accessible to the imagination. What we see is only the apparent movement, and the actual movement is only accessible to the imagination. This is the purpose, okay? You need a globe, a lamp, and the nut tied to a string. You remember that? That one. We need a globe and the lamp.
What is this called? Nut. What we write for this? What is the name?
Tell me what can we write for this? You have to tell me. What can we write for this? There's a lamp and the globe. This is what we need for this presentation. Prerequisite is God with no hand story. This is also given to the child in the 6 to 9 age group. There are two charts that we need. One is the sun chart. This one. The insolation chart. Sun insolation chart, and that is 7A. 7A. Then this chart. This one. 8A.
Ma'am, the sun, what is the number of the sun's chart?
7A and 8A. 7A is the sun chart,
Yes, ma'am.
the insolation chart. Okay.
No, ma'am, I got confused because there is one more sun chart. No?
Yes. There's one
Yeah.
more. This
Yeah.
is the one. And this is the other chart, 8A. So, the earth that came to be with all the people, the trees, the animals, buildings, mountains, and oceans. Can you imagine how full it is with everything? This earth is going round and round the sun as if it is attached to an invisible string, something like this. No? So you hold it like this and start rotating it above your head, okay? As if it is attached to something invisible, like a string. The sun, the earth is going. So we are considering this nut to be the earth. It's going around the sun as if it were attached by an invisible string. And this one trip around the sun takes 1 year to complete. This one trip around the sun takes 1 year to complete. And that trip is called the orbit of the earth. That trip is called the orbit of the earth. But that's not all that happens. The earth not only goes around and round the sun, but it's so happy that it is born that it also dances round and round itself. We say that it takes 1 year for this trip, and that trip is called the orbit around the sun. And we say that this is not the only thing that happens. The earth is so happy to be born that it dances around and around the sun, and it also dances round and round itself. You may want to get up and twirl around like that. You may just get up and twirl around saying this is how it goes round and round itself. The earth is so happy that it was born that it dances all day and all night. And it has done this from the beginning. And it's still doing it today. And we should be very glad that it does so. Now spin the globe. Spin it always in the anti-clockwise direction. This will be the clockwise. Spin it in the anti-clockwise direction. Every clockwise, anti-clockwise. How do you know which is clockwise and which is anti-clockwise? Look at the clock. The clock goes like this. Now the same thing, you have to see it like this, on it. This is the circle. Okay, this is the circle. Then, which is clockwise? This clockwise. Yeah. This is anti-clockwise. Spin it. The earth is always spinning in the anti-clockwise direction. So we also show it like that. Spin the earth in the anti-clockwise direction. Like this. Can you see this is the axis? It's like this. Yeah. Spin it in the anti-clockwise direction. Like this. Spin the globe counterclockwise. Tell the children that the earth spins around and round itself. It's not around, round and round itself. Round and round itself. This is called rotation. This is called rotation of the earth.
Ma'am, We will mention about the tilt later, that it is in a tilted position.
No. I'm not said that. Nothing will be left. Don't worry. There won't be anything that will be left. Everything will have its own place in the story.
Okay, ma'am.
I wonder what would happen if it did not spin. Remember the hottest day last year? I mean, this year also. The hottest day in this year. You felt that all the heat from the sun came onto you, no? That's how you felt. That's how hot it felt. It was very hot. But did you know that we are not getting all the heat from the sun? We feel the light of heat come out. You remember the hottest day this year? It was very hot, isn't it? You felt that all the heat from the sun was on you. Directly on you. But we are not really getting all the heat from the sun. We are not getting all the heat from the sun. The earth is actually quite small when compared to the sun. Show the chart. Point out to the earth. The earth is actually quite small when compared to the earth. And it's very away, far away from the sun. When we look at the sun, we can see the heat radiate in all directions. Right? We look at the sun, we see the heat radiate in all directions. And the earth receives only a very small part of the sun's heat. In fact, scientists say that we receive only 2 billionth part of the sun's heat. 2 billionth. BILLIONTH. TH, whenever you hear a TH with a number, it is a fraction. A fraction of that. If there are billion parts, only 2 parts of the billion is what you receive. Some scientists say that the earth receives only 2 billionth part of the sun's heat. A very tiny fraction. And yet, that 2 billionth part can get very hot. Then can you imagine how hot the sun must be? On those nights when it is very hot, we are glad when it is night and we feel the earth cool off a bit. No? On those days when it is very hot, we are glad when it is night because it cools off a bit for us, isn't it? On those very hot days, we are glad when it is night and things cool off a bit. Can you imagine what would happen if we were getting all the heat from the sun and the earth did not rotate? If we were getting all the heat from the sun and the earth would not rotate. If the earth did not rotate, what would happen? What do you think can happen? That's it.
One side would always be day and the other side would always be night.
There'll
be no day and night for the whole world.
Okay, Neha. Neha knows that because the earth rotates, we have day and night. But I've not told you that yet. I've not yet told you that. So because the earth is rotating, when the earth is rotating, we know that it's getting equal heat on all parts of the earth. But if the earth stopped rotating, all the heat would fall on one part of the earth, on one side of the earth. And like Archana said, all the water can evaporate from the face of the earth on this side. The people, the plants, animals, everything that existed on one side of the earth would burn away. Something like this can happen, right? When the earth stopped rotating. Something like this can happen. And on the other side of the earth, which was hidden from the sun, what do you think can happen?
It will be frozen.
Huh?
Very
Frozen.
cold, ma'am.
Will be very cold.
Cold.
But very cold.
Freeze.
Freeze. It can freeze. Devoid of any heat. Huh? Remember how cold it is in the space? Colder than ice? Take a good look at these icicles. That's how cold it can get if the earth did not rotate. So lucky for us that that does not happen because the earth rotates. Lucky for us that this does not happen. Now you can switch on the light. Here's our sun and here's our earth. Are you able to see? So this is a bulb attached to a box, a carton box, and you have your earth here. Keep them at a distance and show how the light of the sun falls on the earth on one side. If you have the room a little darker, it would help because you'll be able to see one half of it only being lit and the other half in the dark. Even then, windows are not closed, but you can put a certain the cloth numbing and close பண்ணல. உங்களுக்கு இருக்குல்ல? God மேல போட்டுருக்காரு. Yeah, enough. This would be enough, no? Yes. ஆனா உங்களுக்கு அங்க இருந்து வெளிச்சம் வருதா? அப்ப அது மேலயும் போடணும். இது பண்ணவா? அதையும் போடணும். Yeah. Good. You are able to see this better? Is it better?
Yes, ma'am.
So here's our sun and here's our earth. The sun can light up only one part of the earth at a time. The sun can light only one part of the earth at a time. The part that is facing the sun. Right? Begin to rotate the earth. Always rotating in the rotation is in the anti-clockwise direction. Begin to rotate the earth. The part that faces the sun gets the light from the sun and the heat from the sun, and it warms up. What do you see on the other side, Manu? The other side of the earth? It's dark. It is dark. So this does not get light. And this cools off. This part cools off. That's why I'm saying that one part, the part that faces the sun gets the light and it warms up. And the other part that does not face the sun cools off. It is in the dark and it cools off. The earth keeps rotating around itself. Yes. As it is going around the sun also. With each part warming up and cooling off, this happens continuously. With each part warming up and cooling off. They are saying revolving around the sun also here. Because when we showed, that's okay. When we showed the nut, that is revolution. And we are calling it an orbit also. One trip around the sun is an orbit. It's done. We are pointing to that, but we are focusing on the rotation and the consequences. What happens? So what is happening as the earth is rotating? One part of it gets warmed up and the other part gets cooled off. This goes on and on. Every part that is heated, the opposite of it is cooling off also. So fortunately, this does not happen. Fortunately for us, this does not happen. This. Going chart 8. And it won't happen. As long as the earth keeps dancing round itself. Point to one part of the globe and say, watch my finger. Point to one part of the globe and say, this is where you're living. I'm pointing to India. When it is light outside, when you're looking outside through the window, you see it is light, there is light. What does that mean? That our part of the earth is facing the sun. When it is light outside, the part of the earth that you're living in is facing the sun, right? And when it is dark outside, what does that mean? When it is dark outside, it means that your part of the earth is away from
away from us.
away from the sun. When our part of the earth is facing the sun, there are parts of the earth that are away from the sun. Do you see that? At the same time, right now, when our part of the earth is facing the sun, there are parts of the earth that are turned away from the sun. So some parts are in light and some parts are in dark. You can put a small tag here, a blue tack or something, a blue tack which sticks on to things. No, you can place it here and say, watch this point and keep rotating the earth. Now it is into the shadow. Now it is in the dark. And now it's totally in the dark. Now it's coming into light on the other side. Is it coming into the light? Slowly coming into the light. It's totally in light. Now it is facing the sun. Now it's again going into the shadow. Do one rotation pointing to one place on the earth. It could be India. You can place a blue tack. Blue tack or even the clay, no? Molding clay. Place a small dot there and say, watch. Watch this go in and out of the shadow. One rotation. Yeah. You understood, right? So you can say, now it is day. Now it is day. And when it is on the side, which is away from the sun, it is night. Now it is night. It's coming into the day again. Now it is day. Now we'll focus on other parts of the day as well. We said first we introduce the terms day and night. So looking at one place, you say now it is day, and now it is moved into the shadow, it is night. It's coming back into the day again. It's facing the sun, it is day. Now we'll introduce the other terms as well. Okay. So what you say is it's day now. It's getting into the darkness and it is night. Slowly we can see a little light falling on that part. Now, yes, it is falling. Yes. It's morning. And we see the sun rising in our place. We are pointing to one location and looking at all the parts of the day. We call this dawn, right? Dawn. D-A-W-N. Dawn. We call this dawn. After dawn comes morning. It's morning. We are further moving into the day. Now the sun's light is falling directly on the earth, on India. And it is noon or midday. It's noon or midday. The sun is shining directly on our part of the earth. Now we are rotating away from the sun. It is afternoon. It is afternoon. Now we are moving out of the light. Now we are moving out of the light. We are seeing the sunset. It is dusk. We are seeing the sun set. It is dusk. Now it is night. We are moving into the shadow. It is night. It's farther away from the sun, it is midnight. The farthest away from the sun, it is midnight. Now it's dawn again. It's dawn again. You won't say forenoon. Morning with him. If you want to introduce forenoon, you can introduce. But first, let's introduce noon. Only then you will be able to relate to afternoon and forenoon, no? Now
Ma'am,
it's dawn again. Huh.
ma'am, that bulb is actually looking like the sun only. Like when the sun, you know, is
The
just-
rays, no?
yeah,
Huh.
just looking like the sun only.
So again, we are moving into dawn again. And it is morning. Now it is noon, midday, afternoon. Now the sun is setting, so it is dusk. Now it is totally into dark, so it is night. Now it's midnight. What about now? Dawn. So this goes on and on. So you've done 2 rotations. Okay. As you're giving the new terms. Dawn, morning, noon, afternoon, dusk, night, midnight, and then dawn again. And then now the children, like how Pamita was telling along with us, children will also say along because now they remember. That's why you do one more round. The second round is for the children. They'll repeat or they will lead you. They will lead you and with which you understand that they've understood. It's always important to do 2 rounds like this with all these presentations. You'll see when we are doing seasons also, we'll do 2 rounds. First time we give the terms. The second time, children will start repeating it. So pick another place. What place can you choose? Now it's noon in India. Shall we choose another place there? What is it in your place? Manu? Canada. What's it in Canada? It is midnight. It's midnight in Canada. What do you think people might be doing there? Sleeping. Fast asleep, no? Maybe dreaming also. Now what are we doing in India here? We're all working. Huh? Okay. And then slowly we are moving into afternoon. What do you think we might be doing in the afternoon? Having lunch. But what are people in Canada doing? Still sleeping, is it? Oh, still sleeping. We are moving into dusk. It's evening. What do you think you must be doing? Leaving school and you must be going home, right? Maybe playing with your friends, having some milk, having some snacks. What are they doing in Canada? It's just daybreak. They are into dawn. They must be getting ready to get up. Maybe. You don't know. Now it is night in India. What do we do at night? First we have dinner. So we are having our dinner. What are they doing there? Breakfast. Yeah, they might be having their breakfast, getting ready to school. Children there. We are ready to go to sleep. It's night. We are going to sleep. And we are fast asleep. And what are they doing there in Canada? Huh? Their day has started. They've gone to school. They're working. Just like how we started working. And it is. That is up. Now it is midday for them. Noon. Must be getting ready for lunch. And what are we doing? Fast asleep. Cozy in the bed. It's afternoon. Still working? Work time? And we are still sleeping? Okay. Now it's evening. It's dusk for them. They are winding up their day. What are we doing? We're just starting our day. That's how it goes on and on. So you can actually pick a point on the earth which is away from India and then compare what are we doing, what they might be doing. So this brings a good perspective of like what we said in the beginning, the purpose. Moving out of your location to understand what's happening in the world. Just not what's happening with me. Now it is morning, now it is day. I understand only this much. But what's happening in the other side of the world? There are people who are having something else, no different from us. The experiences are different. Do we see that the sun does not move in all this, during all this time? Do we observe that the sun does not move and it's only the earth that moves round and round itself? But when we look outside, we think that it does. We think that the sun moves, isn't it? It's a bit like being on a bus or a train. When you're traveling in a bus or a train and you're sitting next to a window, you see the trees and the animals and the other vehicles move. Not the vehicles, let's leave out the vehicles. The trees and the houses move, isn't it? You see that they're moving past us. But are they moving? No. It is you in the bus who is moving. So bring that perspective. No point of reference. That what you see outside, you see that the sun is moving. But actually, in this demonstration where you see the different parts of the day, the sun is stable. It is not moving. But in actual, you see the sun moving. Then you bring a perspective saying it is like when you're traveling in a bus or a train, things that you see move past you are not moving. And give examples of stable things like tree, house, mountains. They move. Do they move? They don't move. It's we who are moving in the train. We have the same impression that the sun is moving. But in reality, it's the earth that is moving. Thank you, sun, for your light and heat. And thank you, earth, for dancing. There ends the presentation. It's a little long presentation where we have to talk a lot. We'll have to bring different perspectives. Little by little, you're bringing in the perspective. But by the end of it, you see how you've gotten the whole perspective of what happens around the world. And you're also referring to what is happening, the apparent movement and the actual movement. You're finishing it off there.
Ma'am, when you
Thank you.
Ma'am, when you start this off, do you give reference to the God with no hands?
God with no hands. Huh? You can refer to that because I started off saying, you remember, we said that the earth was so happy at being born that it danced round and round itself. You can refer to that story, saying, you remember that story where we said that the earth, you can refer to it. We can switch on the light. Put this off. Thank you. And the light on. What's the time? 10 more minutes I'll take to finish one more presentation. Now the presentation. Further look at the day and night, parts of the day. Further look at the day and night parts of the day. Here you need chart 9A and 10A. 9A is this one. This is 9A. And this is 10A. You'll need these two charts for this purpose.
Ma'am, can you show 9A once again? Okay, okay.
9A.
Ma'am, can you repeat the topic again, ma'am?
Yeah. Topic can be gotten from anybody else. You can get it, no, type it in the chat. If you don't get the topic, somebody can type it out. Further look at day and night, parts of the day. Parts of the day. Further look at day and night, hyphen, parts of the day. Remember, we talked about the Earth's rotation and how it turns round and round itself. And because of which there are different times of the day. Dawn, morning, midday or noon. So repeat saying all those terms. How it turns around and round itself, and because of which there are different parts of the day. First, dawn, then morning, and then noon or midday, and then afternoon, then dusk, then night, midnight, and then it is dawn again. Let's look at the same thing on a chart. This is how every place on earth experiences day and night. We have part of the day, a part of the earth that is in light and part of the earth that is in dark. So point to the part that is in day and part of the earth that is in night. When a place comes into light, we have dawn. When a place comes into light, we have dawn. Right now, this place is having dawn. So point to each part. When we are talking about it, point to that part. When a place comes into light, it is having dawn. That's when the sun seems to rise. And we say the sun rises in the east. So one of the very basic requirements is for the children to understand east and west, isn't it? We don't have a presentation to show directions, east, west, north, south.
So, ma'am, that will be a prerequisite also.
Would be a prerequisite. We understand that the children will know this, but they don't know. So what I do is take the children out in the morning, and I say, so they should know right and left. That is prerequisite to knowing their directions. Your right hand must point to the sun. Okay, this is what I tell them. You stand however you want, but your right hand must point to the sun and your left hand should point away from the sun. So how will they stand then? Facing north. Facing north. They will be facing north. Okay, you do that just now. If you can stand up and point your right hand towards the sun. And the left hand away from the sun. Sun is here. What you're facing is north. And your back is towards south. Okay, your right hand is pointing to the east and your left hand is pointing to the west. And then we draw with the chalk on the ground. I draw with the chalk east, west, north, south. And then I say, and I give directions to the children. 2 steps to the east, 4 steps to the west, jump to the north. Then maybe 2 steps to the south or something like that. You keep saying that. The primary you do that.
The primary for left and right.
Yes.
Ask the children to sit in a line.
Yeah.
And then we are asking who is sitting left, who is sitting right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, to bring that awareness, no? It is still confusing, isn't it? For few children, it's confusing.
For us, we are asking who some traffic something from the right side.
Yeah, keep giving them instructions like that. Similarly, to bring this awareness to the children, I do this. If you have a better presentation, you can. But this works usually. Take them to the ground where it is open. They'll be able to see the sunlight in the morning, as soon as they come. And then you can do that. They enjoy, you know. And then there's a lot of awareness also. Oh, now it is to the east and then the west and all. Directions. Try it with your children. So here we are saying that the sun seems to rise in the east. When your part of the, when the part of the earth that, is in light, we call that dawn, where the sun seems to rise in the east. Then the sun seems to be rising or moving higher and higher. The sun seems to be rising or moving higher and higher. On the chart, you're pointing like this. The sun seems to be moving higher and higher. Until it reaches its highest point in the sky. And that is noon. Until it reaches its highest point in the sky, and that is noon. And then it seems to sink. Then it seems to sink. And it seems to be setting in the west. That's when we have sunset. We point to the directions and say, that's when we have sunset. Then it is night when your part of the earth is in darkness, is away from light. And then back again to dawn. This is the apparent movement of the sun. This is the apparent movement of the sun. But we know in reality that the earth is the one that is moving. This is the apparent movement of the sun. But we know in reality that the earth is the one that is moving. At any given time, there's some place on the earth that is having dawn, and the place opposite to it is having night or dusk. Some place is having noon, and the place opposite to it is having midnight. There is always a place that is having morning, that is in the morning, and the place opposite to it is in night. And all this is because the earth is rotating. All this is because the earth is rotating.
Ma'am, so we introduced the word apparent at the start.
We can.
Ma'am, I have a doubt in this chart. So like the PDF which we have got, so in that the sunset is a little red. So we have to color it red or yellow, because the one you showed us
This one
Because yeah.
can be a little orangish, no? Because when you go to the
Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am, I thought I've colored
Right.
wrong.
no, no, you've colored it a little reddish. Huh?
Yes, yes.
During dawn and dusk, you see the sky a little orangish. So adnala adu koncham darker. It can be a little darker. This part. It's not very clearly seen here, but you can have it a little orangish to point at how the sky looks at that time. But not the temperature. No? It does not denote the temperature. During dawn and sunset is when you feel a little cool. Dark, it must be very hot and everything. Because this points to quite hot. No, red points to place when it is very hot. To complete one movement of the earth, it takes 24 hours. To complete one movement of the earth, it takes 24 hours. And if it were divided equally, we would have 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night. Or 12 hours of darkness and 12 hours of light. If it were divided equally. So let's look at this chart. Suppose we say, look at this chart. The sun rises in the east at 6 o'clock. If we say that the sun rises in the east at 6 o'clock. You can see that, no? At 6 o'clock. And we see that it is climbing higher and higher. It's morning. And then it is noon at 12 o'clock. It is noon at 12 o'clock. And then we see the sun beginning to sink and set in the west at 6 o'clock again in the evening. And at 12 o'clock in the night, it is midnight. At 12 o'clock night, it is midnight. I wonder which is the hottest time of the day. I wonder which is the hottest time of the day.
I'm the one which has red color.
12 in the afternoon.
Which one is that? 12 in the afternoon.
Top.
Most of the people are saying.
One.
No, 12 to 1 to 2.
Yeah, 1 to 2 or
See?
12 to 2.
12 to 2. And which is the coldest time of the day?
I mean,
Midnight.
Midnight. Is it? Midnight, is it? Right. Noon is quite hot. But look at these colors after noon. Like what Tanvi said. This one. It is not until 2 when it is the hottest during the day. So that 1 to 2 is the time when it is or the hottest during the day. There is such an accumulation of heat that it is the hottest. All the heat have been accumulated during the day, and from 1 to 2 is when all the heat has been accumulated, and that's why it is the hottest. What about the coldest hour? It is before dawn, just before dawn, 4 to 6. Between 4 to 6 a.m. This is the time when it is the coldest during the day.
Ma'am, not at 18 also.
18 means?
Ma'am, like in that chart. Like maybe during the sunrise. Yeah, there.
No, the sun is just set
Okay.
and it's still warm.
Okay.
And this is the time when the earth has cooled off and it has been away from the sun for the longest time. So it has cooled off, and that's when you want to sleep more. You set your alarm and then you put it off saying, let me sleep a little more. That's when you want to sleep, and you know, because it feels cool.
We turn off the AC also, ma'am.
You turn off the AC during that. Because the earth at that place has been without the sun for the longest time. So leave the chart displayed on the chowki like this and let the children look at it for a longer time. You finish your presentation. What else can you do? How will you leave the children? Will you say, I'm done with my presentation. I'm getting up and going. You do what you want. What can we say? How do you leave a presentation? By giving them some follow-up activities or suggesting some work to them. No? There are these many things you can do. What would you like to do? We leave the presentation. So,
Ma'am, we could make a chart, like the students could make a chart of the like various countries. So
various countries. All of
So-
them look the same, no? Even if you make it for America,
Daily activities they can do. Daily activities throughout the day.
daily activities through the day. Suppose I make a circle and I mark it with this time, and I can say, I can write or I can draw a stick figure also. I wake up, I bathe or I dress up, no, I get ready and then I go to school. I have my breakfast, then I go to school, and then I'm working, and then or maybe I'm playing, and then I have my lunch. So all these things can be pointed out, no? It can be represented. That is a very well thought of follow-up. For young children, it can be using stick figures, no? They don't have to draw. They draw some representational figures is also okay. A ball to show playing, or any toy. Breakfast, a plate with some things. School bag. Small things can be. Yes, there's a 24-hour format. So what does that tell you? They may not be able to understand. What is this? We say it is, the sun is setting at 6 o'clock in the evening, but it shows 18 there. And then at midnight, we say at 12 o'clock in the midnight, but it says 24 there. This chart shows a 24-hour clock format. Therefore, you're up for the next presentation, AM and PM. Which can follow directly after this presentation. Because if there's a child who's asking, I don't know what you're talking about, then you're up for the next presentation. Tell them that I'm going to explain how this works. Come and call me when you're ready. They'll call you for the presentations. You don't have to call them.
We can ask like which place is the first in the year to see the sun? Find by reading somewhere.
Is there a place which is first to see the sun? Norway. Norway, huh?
It's a land of rising sun.
Land of rising sun. But he said the first to see the sun. Japan India. But New Zealander. Angela, New Zealand. I mean, New Zealand, they have first sharing. You must find that out. There. Because there's a confusion.
They can also mark the shadows, ma'am. Like they can draw the shadows.
Yeah, that's a wonderful one. A good one. Stand in the sun to mark your shadows. You've done that with the children. Morning. Where does your shadow fall? But you'll have to have a line of reference, okay? A point of reference. You draw a circle where you stand. Always you have to stand there only. If you stand in different places, then it's going to be different. So, and in one direction only. You'll have to stand in that direction. Draw a circle, draw a line there, stand there, and always do, I mean, your right should be to the east, you're facing the north, and the position where you're standing. And you're marking the shadow. See how. And length of the shadow also. You can also mark the length of the shadow. That is another activity. Then what will be the revelation here, Surya? What will they learn from this?
Yeah, in morning how the shadow will fall, and afternoon and night there will be any shadow like that they can.
Time.
Huh?
Shadows lengthen.
Say time.
Time.
Ma'am, they can also learn like at what time is the sun rays too high or too low so that their shadow comes in a different way.
I see a direct connection to the chapter light in physics. This is very sensorial. You're looking at the light and the sun's, the source. When it is straight above you, you see the shadow right below. When it is on this direction, you see the shadow on the other direction. So I can see a direct connection to the chapter light. More can be shown in that, but we don't have any chapter called light here in our curriculum. But if you can read up, you can show lenses, and how the shadow falls. I mean, what is that? Source, lens, or mirror, and then image. Whether it is a virtual image or a real image or inverted or straight, elongated or shortened, all this can be studied. So much reflection, refraction, angle of reflection, angle of refraction. Lots of things can be studied from here.
Ma'am, from this can we also say that in olden days our ancestors used as a clock, they used the sky as a clock, like predicting the time before the clock.
Sundials can be studied. No?
Sun clocks also.
Can we also say that, ma'am?
Sundials, water dials.
So like you said, time is a chapter that directly connects this. So at the same time, if you are also studying clock and all those, the beginning that we history, yeah. No? And you remember the chapter in history where we were looking at timelines. Timelines, clocks, all that is also very connected here to this. New Zealand is a land of rising sun.
I posted in the chat, ma'am. It is there in the chat.
It's there in the chat. The first place in the world to see the sun is the beautiful Tairawiti Gisborne area in New Zealand.
New Zealand.
It has been said
Tyra.
people travel for their New Year Eve there.
There.
To see the first sunrise of us.
Oh. So I'll be telling you a story on that also sometime later. This is actually very closely connected to that. In India, the sun rises first in a place called Dong in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. 7 sisters, no? Arunachal Pradesh is there. Dong. Dong. It is. I'll remember it like that. Nice, thank you.
So, as a follow-up, we've seen, the importance of sunlight in plants. Let's see, why is sunlight not that is it important?
Is it important? Yeah. We're talking so much about the sun.
Apart from this, regulating physical activity. Like how it's important for the biological functioning of plants. Is it important to
So she's connecting it to biology, saying you're looking at the physical factors, but biological factors also, bringing in the biological factors of how if the sun is important for the plants and animals, and do they follow a clock by themselves? There's something called a circadian clock within us, inside our body, not physically, but mentally. And it's very active in the newborn because they know when to sleep, when to wake up, when it is, and for us, it's a little dimmed. Vanished. Totally vanished.
We always look at the
Clock to know.
Even at midnight when we get up, we look at the what is the time?
What is the time?
Wake up or
Yeah.
go back to sleep.
But animals have it in place. Newborns also have it in place. They have it in place. That can be. I think there was a presentation by a boy on the circadian clock and he won a lot of accolades. I don't remember. During the pandemic, there was a news that this boy presented what a circadian clock means. A very young boy, school boy. I think. Don't remember that. Circadian clock. If you are very connected to our body, we know this. Intuitively, we know. I think that's what yoga is all about. To understand your body.
Is it
Abhigyan, yeah, that name. Abhigyan. This presentation, as I told you, leads to AM and PM. No? AM and PM presentation, and also lines of longitudes and latitudes. Yeah. 24-hour clock can be introduced, reading 24-hour clock, conversion of time, time zones, time zones can be introduced to the children. So all of this goes, and I mean, in the coming, when it all depends on what the children are asking you about in this presentation. One child asked about 24-hour clock. So my presentation next should be AM and PM. Then there was, where is the sun first rising? Then that would relate to time zones. So like this, you'll have to keep in mind what the children are conversing about. Where should I go next? This should give you a clue. So we'll stop here now. It's 10:51. We'll take a break. 11:50.